in the cloud, as opposed to a galaxy far, far away with Professor O'Hanlon in two different galaxies, either the Star Trek or the Robert. What was Dean's? The artist who was Dean. His last name.
Oh, Roger Dean.
Roger Dean. Thank you. The artist
You're
Roger
welcome.
Dean. So good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming by. I'm not sure if anyone is here from my regular internship class. I don't see anybody, I don't think. But this is something we used to do in person, just to invite students to come in and hopefully get to know the professors and stuff like that. But at the same time, go over some of the courses that are going to be offered or that are available, to answer any questions and to talk a little bit about the capstone projects, or the independent studies, as they should more properly be called, which we'll go over tonight. And then we'll open up the floor for questions for anyone who has any questions. First, introductions. My name is Jim Carney. I am an assistant professor. I think a lot of you know me already. I teach a lot in the MCS, but I also teach FTS, and I also teach some journalism classes as well. Professor O'Hanlon, who's the chair of department, thank you for joining us, Professor O'Hanlon, who, when he gets the time, teaches FTS and journalism mostly. And Lisette Diaz, who basically runs the joint, who is our administrator, and is our point person in the office, and when the office is in her living room too, like right now. So thank you, Lisette, for being here. Appreciate that. Very often, Lisette is going to be a point person where she'll send you to the right people to help you out if you have questions. And maybe, just after I do some opening remarks, and then Professor O'Hanlon, if you have anything that you want to mention. Like I said, this is one of two sessions. We had one before the break that dealt primarily with summer session, but we'll deal both with summer session as well as the fall classes. And just by way of clarification, what we're going to talk about here today is only for the journalism, media communication studies, and film and television studies majors and minors. We are not equipped, we are not authorized to advise on any other element of your degrees here at Lehman College. That includes any maths or sciences, or any sorts of language requirements that you have, or even the LEH courses. Those are things that are basically, you need to go to the general advising office. And if you just go to the Lehman College website and just click on the advising link, a cool little bot comes up, and you can start a chat there to ask questions. And you can get some of your questions answered there. Otherwise, you can set up an appointment with a regular advisor. So right off the bat, I just want folks to know this is advising for the journalism major, the media communication studies major, and for the film and television studies major. We're just going to ask you to go to the regular advising office, or if you're part of a special program, for example, if you're in the SEEK program, or if you're in the adult degree program, you may have other advisors as well that can help you out with your coursework. I'll say right off the bat, and then I'll let Professor O'Hanlon jump in here. We are in a recovery mode this semester. We had a lot of our courses in person. Virtually, well, actually, all of our classes for summer are actually online. That's to accommodate the schedules of most of the folks who are taking the classes. And in the fall, you'll see a mixture of online, hybrid, and in-person classes. And what we try to do is rotate them to make them available for students, whether they be day or evening students, either by making them available online or in evening classes. So we do our best to do that as well. The summer sessions, and let me first bring up the academic calendar for the summer. And I think now I have fixed this, so let's see, undergraduate. Bear with me one second. You want to go ahead, Professor O'Hanlon, while I just bring up the schedule?
Sure, thank you. Hi, everybody. Glad you're here. So yeah, help us help you. It's very important to know what you're asking for when you're emailing or you're calling. Now, remember, something important is that all full-time faculty and even our adjunct faculty, everybody has office hours. Now, if you wonder, gosh, when are those? Well, you can either go on our website, on our webpage for journalism and media studies, and they're all there. Or you can just email somebody, like somebody will say, I don't know who's teaching the course. The answer is, okay, and what do we do about that? We go and we look. So if you're looking for course permission, generally ask the instructor first. People, I think, are sometimes confused by the term department permission required. They think, oh, I know, ask the department chair. That doesn't mean department chair permission. It means any faculty member, a full-time faculty member at Lehman can give you course permission. But help our people help you. If there's a prerequisite for the class, you should know. And if you're signing up for something, you know, you don't want to sign up for Media Industries 2 if you didn't take Media Industries 1. You know, it sounds obvious, but or somebody will say, I know, I'll take them together. You know, you don't want to take French 1 and French 2 at the same time. So don't do that. Help us help you. And as Professor Carney said, yes, please do not ever ask us to figure out financial aid stuff, because if we're 90% right, we'll still be 10% wrong. We don't want to do that. So directly to financial aid, directly to graduation audit, or I have a hold, can you take care of it? No, we don't place holds, we don't remove holds. So if you get anything that says you have a hold on your registration, read it carefully, see who issued it, and then get right to them, you know, so that you can do whatever you need to do to take care of it. Okay. And I know something else, I don't want to steal Professor Carney's thunder, but people are still emailing all of us saying, I'd like permission to enroll in the capstone. No, if you don't have a plan and you don't have an advisor yet, there's nothing to give permission for. So we say this with the utmost respect because we want you to succeed and we know that you will. So let's help you out. So let me not bend your ear too much. We'll get back to Professor Carney, and
Okay.
thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tom. Let's just go briefly over the schedules to start out with. You should hopefully be able to see the summer schedule. It says draft, but it's very much in place as of right now. Can you folks see that? Is it sharing?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There are, as far as our department is concerned, there are 3 sessions that that are relevant. Sessions A, B, and C. Sessions A and C are 1 month long or 4 weeks long, and session B is actually a longer 6-week session that straddles the two. But all of our classes, let's do session A first. Session A is what is commonly called the June session, and that begins June 6th. It begins late this year because of where Memorial Day lands and because of graduation and commencement. But it begins June 6th and it runs through June 30th. Also beginning on June 6th is the 6-week session. So make sure you understand that session A is 4 weeks long, and the session ends at the end of June, whereas session B, or section B, begins on the same date but ends in July, and I believe it's the 14th, the 11th. Okay, so withdrawal period. Let me just make sure and scroll down here a little bit. It ends on the 13th. Okay, so the 13th, I was close. Final exams are on the 13th. So session A ends the end of June, session B ends the middle of July, and then session C doesn't start until the other 2 sessions are over. So the second month-long summer session, which is 4-week summer session 2, or section C. So 2C, I know the A, B, C's, the 1s and the 2s are confusing. But if you just go to the summer, if you go to the schedule on the quick links, it comes up here and it explains it. But session C begins again on the 18th, which is the weekend after the prior 6-week session ends, and then that runs through mid-August and runs through the 10th of August. Let me just double check that. No, it's later than that. It ends on the 11th of August. Final exam is on the 11th of August. So there's 3 opportunities for you to take classes. I'm not going to beleaguer. Let me just stop sharing this right now and start sharing. Let me close this out. The classes are listed under CUNY First. I'm not going to go through all of them. Just be very conscious of the meeting dates. That's the easiest way to figure out which session. Just very quickly, let me share the summer CUNY First list, which I think is, actually, I'll share both of them. Here we go. So on the right-hand side, where you should see my arrow, my cursor spinning, do you see it there, Tom?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
As you can see, Global Cinema is in the 4-week session 1. So it runs June 6th through the 30th. So that's the first 1-month session. MCS 214, which is required for all 3 majors with Professor Scheinheit, actually is the later. It's the 4-week session 2, which means it begins in mid-July and runs through the 2nd week in August. So make sure you look at the meeting dates. I can't tell you how many times people have shown up, like on the 8th, like for example, in the July date, and say, I'm here and ready to take the class. And we have to tell them, too bad, because it was last month. And you don't get a refund. So make sure that you know which dates and which sessions you're registering for. So you can check out, these are just the MCS courses. You can, by the way, this is the new look for CUNY First. I'm not going to take any time to go over that. If you have problems with it, just consult the help desk, either virtually or in person, and they'll be able to walk you through it. It's really not that confusing. It just looks different, and the elements are still there. So that's it with summer session. Fall session, these are the MCS classes for fall session, which is on this side. And as you can see, they start on the 25th, which is the last week in August, and run through the 21st of December. So please, this is another thing that some students find confusing. Classes begin before Labor Day. There is a week of classes before that. So take that into account when you plan your summer events. So these are the courses for MCS. You can simply go to the bottom and do a modify search, and you can find the other majors. So those are there. There's a nice mixture of 200 level, 300 level, and 400 level courses. Again, you can look into all of those. Anything else, Tom, before I move on to the independent studies, and then we'll open it up for questions?
No, I think that's it. I'm sending everybody a Word document now that has the total list of everything you just showed us, of all the summer JMS all in one shot, if that works.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then I think something went out before. Just throw that out and use the one I did, folks. I gave you one before that I think has some extraneous words in it, and I'm trying to just find the right one here. So you'll see it pop up momentarily.
Okay. Let me go back to full screen here. The independent studies. The independent studies, or commonly referred to as capstones, are a culminating experience that every major has to do in their course of study for the major at the journalism, media studies, and film and television studies areas. Minors do not have to do capstones or independent studies. They can do internships, and I'll talk about internships in a little while. But the independent studies are mandatory. They're either 3 credits or 3+1 credits. The 3+1 is the honors, and I'll talk about that again in a moment too. But the capstones or the independent studies are something that you should be giving thought to essentially when you start your course of study, whether you come in as a transfer student or you come in as a freshman. You should have that in the back of your mind. It's designed to be done your last semester or your next to last semester. However, you should be thinking about it and working towards it so that, like for example, right now, looking at the independent studies and capstones for the fall semester is late because of the way that the capstones are structured. In general, what they're supposed to be, they are the culminating experience that goes into your portfolio. So if you go for a job interview or if you go for an interview to get into a graduate program, and you're talking to the admissions person live or on Zoom, and they say, okay, this is very good. This is your bachelor's degree. This is what you learned, but what can you do? The capstone is designed to give you something that's of a professional nature that you can say, here's a link to a series of articles, a short film, a series of podcasts, a website created for a small business, anything creative that applies to your career goals or your academic goals that shows that you know how to do something. It is not a make-believe class assignment. It has to be a real world experience. So you can't say, okay, for my capstone, I want to do a marketing program for this new company that is going to make widgets. And if you don't know what a widget is, it's because it doesn't exist. It has to be something that is real and have real world consequences. And even if it doesn't pan out, that's even okay, because not every marketing plan, not every strategy, not every short film works out. And the process of going through the process is a learning experience in itself. I can give you a couple of quick examples. The most obvious one for people interested in academics is a research paper. This is not something you spend a week on and go to the virtual library and write a 5-page paper. This is an academic semester-long project. Let me back up a little bit, tell you about the structure. All of the capstones are 1 semester long. That's why generally they're not offered in the summer. And you work one-on-one with one of the full-time faculty, such as myself or Professor O'Hanlon or one of the other full-time faculty. Prior to registration, you have an idea, a concept of what you want to do for your independent study. And you do a little bit of research and see which of the full-time faculty is most suited to work with you for whatever you want to do. So for example, if it's journalistic based, our full-time journalism specialists are Professor Markey and Professor McKenna, although Professor O'Hanlon and I can do journalism as well, so can Professor Ulysses Gonzalez, but we have our specialties. If you want to do something that is cinema related or film related, then Professor Ruiz and Professor Gonzalez are probably the people you want to go to. If it is media studies, if it's a research project or paper, then you probably want to speak to Dr. Boston. Normally you would go also to Professor Brucker Cohen. However, he will be on leave next year, so he's not available to work with. Is Jen with us this coming semester, or is she with English?
She's with English in the
Okay.
fall, but she'll be back with us in spring.
Okay. In the spring semester, Professor Jennifer McKenzie is also available, but she's not going to be available for the coming semester because she'll be with English. So you do, and also now Professor Ian Scheinheit, who is joining the faculty full-time as a regular full-time faculty member. We're very happy to say. Beginning in September, he is available also to do capstones. He also is more on the academic side, but he also can do some journalism stuff. He's an expert on political news coverage journalism. Um, so he's available as well. So what you do is you think about what that project, what that thing is that you would love to have in your portfolio after you graduate. Uh, Formulate that idea, put a one-page proposal together, an abstract, which is to the point, it's succinct, it tells us exactly what the final project or the final thing is going to be. Is it a 5-minute short film? Is it a 10-minute mini documentary? Is it a series of 6 podcasts with a specific given theme and series of guests that lead into each other? Is it a marketing campaign for a small business, whether that small business is a nail salon, or it is people who wanted to go into business, into the entertainment business, and maybe represent artists, will represent a hip hop artist and do everything from creating their website, their Instagram personas, their TikTok presence, a Facebook page. They'll do podcasts for them, and they'll do all the marketing things. Um, it is it can be any of those things or something even more creative. What you need to do though is have that on a one-page presentation with the final product, what it's going to be at the end of the semester, then along with a draft schedule of where you hope to be during the course of the whole semester, beginning in September, and actually the last week in August, all the way through the end of the semester, with the end of the semester being the delivery of whatever the product is to your faculty advisor. So those are the two things that you need. You need a one-page synopsis of what the project is, very specific, and then just a half page on the schedule of where you hope to be week 1, 2, or 2, 3, or whatever the nature of the project is. And then you reach out to us and say, Professor, I want to work with you. Here's my idea. Here's my proposal. And if you can, please give me permission to register in your section of 481, which goes back to the original question Professor O'Hanlon was talking about. You can't say, give me permission to get into 481. What independent study? What are you planning on doing? Who do you want to work with? All of those questions have to be answered before or even close to giving you permission to register. And this is a 3-credit course minimum. It could be a 3+1 credit course, which means it plays into your load, your course load. It plays into your financial aid and your expenses for classes. So all of that comes into play here. So it's not something you can wait until the last minute. If you need it to be considered full-time for financial aid, you need to do it quickly. I mentioned there's a 3-credit and there is a 4-credit, or a 3+1 credit. The 3-credit is the standard independent study that's available for everyone in the 3 majors. It is, as I just described it, a one-on-one. The honors project is the 3+1. That is either MCS, FDS, or JRN 491 and 492. The 491 is the 3-credit independent study, and the 492 is the 1-credit honors colloquium, which generally is an additional workload that you have to do during the course of the semester, usually with another deliverable at the end of the session that you work with your professor to work out. And so it's additional work. If you're paying out of pocket, it's additional financial obligation because it's paying for 4 credits instead of 3. However, if you're getting financial aid, most financial aid covers it because it's considered part of the requirement in order to graduate. Having said that, consult with financial aid. Okay. Who's eligible for honors? All right. Great question, Jim. Thank you. Okay. Who's eligible? Anyone with a 3.5 index up until the semester before. Okay, so right now for the fall semester, if you had a 3.5 index before this semester that's ending, because we don't know what your index is at the end of the semester yet, but it's a 3.5 index in the major. Excuse me. My dog is pulling on my shirt. And the way you do that is you take the courses that you're using to 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 finish the major, which is the 42 credits. You take all of those courses and then calculate your GPE. I'm sorry, your GPA. The way you calculate the GPA, I'm not a math major, so I'll tell you to go back to the bulletin, and it's in the beginning of the bulletin is the way to figure out it. But it's basically adding up the number of, not credits, but the number of hours basically you get. So an A is a 4.0, a B is somewhere around a 3, and this is where I'm not going to get specific because I don't know the math. But you add them up, divide them by the number of courses, and that's your GPA in the major. Okay, so a 3.5 index in the major, permission of the department. Okay, meaning you have to consult with one of the professors because it's a different set of courses, and a full understanding of the additional obligation of the honors. The honors is very valuable when you go to apply for jobs. It is valuable when you go to apply for graduate school. It's not for everybody. Many people who have the 3.5 index and either are not afraid of paying for it, or maybe they just don't want to pay the extra expense, or they are busy in their senior year. They opt not to do the honors. You do not have to do it if you're eligible, but everybody has to at least do the independent study. Okay, so we've got that. What else, Tom?
I guess just what I was getting at before, everybody, help us help you. Somebody who isn't part of our group now, so I'll speak very freely. Somebody has gotten rather famous for sending out emails that say, I need advisement, email back. What is it that you need? Permission for a course, email back. Which course? And then how about your EMPL number? And then if a non-follow-up. And what about this? It's like, no, please give us your EMPL number. So if you're emailing, and remember, you don't have to email, you can also go see people during hours. We have a lot of people here who are very interested in helping. But what I'm suggesting is just to speed things up, especially now when it's very hectic. Don't send anybody a Rubik's Cube. Don't send them a puzzle. Tell them what you need and help us help you, because you're a great bunch of people. It's what we all do together, and just tell us what you need and let us try to help you out. Okay. And please ask questions. Questions are good, but all I'm asking is, when you send something to somebody, don't go, hello, generic occupant, and then we find out you sent it to 6 different people and everybody goes, great, I spent 20 minutes of my life doing that, and so did you. So all I'm saying is, this isn't a complaining session, it's a let us help you session, okay? So
thank you, Tom.
ask
Ivy, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask with regard to the capstone project, the final project, once we're done and we've worked with our advisor, and once we're done with the project, who are we presenting that to? Is there a panel, or is it like, how do we know that it's sufficient?
It's generally just to your professor, but you should be working with your professor to find a way to put that into some sort of a professional presentation, like a portfolio for you that you can use as your professional portfolio. Some of you may already have that, like through e-portfolios, which were developed a few years ago. I'm not sure if they're still doing them in some areas, but either in an e-portfolio, some people will choose to do it through their LinkedIn. They'll set up a LinkedIn account and put it in there. Other people will set up their own website. Don't put it in Facebook, please. Facebook is way too risky, and it's not as professional. But to answer your question, generally it is not, and we have not in the past. I mean, there's been some talk about maybe having a colloquium of all of the honors students to do a presentation at the end, but we haven't been doing that. And as of now, we don't have plans to do that. So you don't have to worry about preparing to go before a panel of judges and do a presentation. That's not part of it. The capstone is not for us, it's for you. It's for you to be able to present yourself professionally and to have something in hand after graduation. I mean, I personally can say that if I didn't do internships in college, in my undergraduate studies, when I graduated, I would have learned how to do nothing but go to classes. And because I did internships, they didn't have capstone programs in my undergraduate. They did allow internships. If I didn't have those, I wouldn't have been qualified, or I would not have had the experience that got me my first job in television. That's what it's about. So you don't have to worry about a panel, if that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. If you do not know what you want to do for, the next thing I wanted to talk about. In recent years, we've added another element to the capstones because, and they're internships. They're not necessarily traditional internships. They're a step above traditional internships. Basically, we will allow you to do an internship for your capstone if it results in a professional credit that is something you can put in a portfolio. So, for example, if you work at a film studio and you get a professional credit as an assistant to a second producer, that is a film credit, which is a legitimate business credit, which ultimately you can use towards even getting into the unions, into the trade unions. That is a credit. Getting an internship where you're answering phones or walking the boss's dog, well, first of all, none of those internships should be being done anyhow, and we will make sure you're not doing those. But the capstone internship is something that should be very well targeted towards your career goals. Internships you can still do. You can do internships either as an elective towards the major. You get a 1-3 credit slot, which a lot of transfer students already have that filled in. Or anybody can do internships as an elective. And you can do 9 credits in internships. People don't realize that. You can do up to 3 internships beyond the final capstone if you have the elective credits to be able to do that. So we generally encourage, or I encourage folks to, in addition to the capstone, at least do one other internship and do it somewhere different from what your capstone is, so that you get a little bit of diversity and you get those 2 things to put in your portfolio. So internships are permitted. The internships fall under one section, which is not posted yet, so don't panic. It is a separate section, which I think is posted as what, Lisette, is it FTS? Or is it all 3 and they're combined once it starts?
Yeah, it's gonna be all 3 combined.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be,
FTS, Sharon,
and
MCS.
probably section 03, right?
No, it's more than likely it's gonna be 01, 01, I'm sorry.
Okay. So it'll be FTS/MCS/JRN or some other order, but the 3 of them, 481, section 01, under my name. Now there will be other MCSs under an MCS 481 probably, it's already there under my name. Those are for independent projects, for independent capstones that are not internships, which you can talk to me individually offline about if you want to do a capstone with me. Also keep in mind, we are limited as to the number of students that we're allowed to take on as capstones. Just as you're limited to the number of credits you can take in a given semester, we're limited in the number of credits we can teach in a semester. So we each have our caps as to how many students we can take on. So if you wait until the beginning of August, there's a good chance that the professor you want to work with is not going to be able to take you on. So try not to wait until that long. So just to summarize, internships are permitted, but it's not a run-of-the-mill internship. It's not just like working in the business office of a television studio. That is not a television capstone. It's maybe a decent business experience in the industry. But if you want to be a filmmaker, or if you want to work in television production, answering phones in a production office on the 72nd floor in Manhattan is not going to cut it. It's not going to help you. Also, we will not find your internship for you. And I know everyone said, what do you mean you won't find it? No, because you know what you want to be when you grow up, or you at least have an idea what you want to do after you graduate. So for us to push an internship on you makes no sense. It is not that difficult. People, I can't find an internship. Well, you just need to try. Think about, visualize where you would love to work after you graduate. That's all you have to do. And find a company that does that, reach out to that company. The odds are better than 50-50 that they will give you an internship for credit. You may not get paid, you probably won't get paid. However, almost all companies give internships. Also, another thing that we've learned from the pandemic, like our meeting here, which is not in person, but it's here, businesses have learned that just the way that their employees are able to work remotely, many of them are not finding that internships can be done remotely. So in theory, you could get an internship with a company in Hong Kong and never leave the Bronx. And it could be an extremely valuable internship. And production ones as well. I know of production internships that are done totally remotely, and it's all done through file sharing. And they can be editing jobs, they can be graphic jobs. You can work for companies in California, in London. So you need to think, and I hate the phrase, think outside the box. Where's my box here? Think outside the box, but think outside the box, because virtual internships are now very much a thing. I think those are the things that I was thinking we would cover. Lisette, do you have anything that you want to add before we, again, look for questions from folks?
If anyone would like to share their Lehman email for listserv, I mean, I'm sure quite a few of you already have been added, but just in case, if you're not receiving any emails from the department in regards to internship opportunities, film screenings, it's a variety of things that go out. If you have not received anything like that in your Lehman email, please send me your Lehman email and I will add your name. I'm gonna I'll let everyone, I'll send my email in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Lisette.
Mhm.
Tom, anything else you want to add before we start taking questions?
Just to also follow up on all the great information that you provided, Jim, about internships. Everybody keep in mind that an internship is not a charity. It's not what can you do for me, it's what can I do for you, which I know is obvious, but I'm just pointing it out. If you want to intern somewhere, do the legwork and make sure you know exactly what they do. You don't want to go to ESPN and say, I want to do theater reviews. The answer is, we're a sports network. We don't do that. Show them that you know what they do and that you get it, and let them know the value that they bring to the organization. Because you can get a lot of really good experience out of it and also make a lot of friends. We had a student several years ago who interned at Sony at their music label. And then they wanted him back. He was still in school. He did an advanced internship again with Sony. And then he graduated in May and July. He had a full-time job with Sony because he impressed them. So know what people do, have a resume ready, make it perfect. One typo says, I don't care enough to get it right, or I'm not able to get it right. You don't ever want to send that message. So show them what you got, because we have a lot of Lehman students who are out there doing great things, and you will be among them.
Mhm. Okay, with that, who has questions?
I have one question. This is Quintel.
Yes,
Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have one question, and it's maybe something that we need to take offline, but I essentially wanted to know about, so for instance, I'm pretty much working and doing what I like want to do. There is a role that I'm aiming for and being mentored through. How is it possible to use a real life job as kind of like an internship or like receive credits for that?
It is. We would strongly encourage you, though, to expand your horizons within those limits. Let me give you an example. We had one student who worked in a bank, and he worked for a 40-hour week in a branch. And he said between family obligations and work obligations, he was too busy to do any sort of a capstone. After we talked to him for a while, I basically realized the bank he worked for, it was Capital One Bank, and this was before the pandemic. They had just started opening up those stores, those branches really that looked like stores where they sold
Cafes.
coffee. The
Yeah.
cafes, right? And they were in the process of grand openings all across the city of these branches. So I recommended he contact the marketing department of the New York City region and speak to his supervisor within the branch and see if he could have some of his hours reassigned, so that yes, he's still working and he's there. Unfortunately, he had to add it onto his additional hours because his branch manager was stingy, but it gave him the insight to be able to work within the area of the bank, which was much more targeted to what he wanted to do. So the answer to your question is yes, you can do that, but we'd like to see you come out of that experience of something just above and beyond what you're normally doing. It's not really the purpose of the capstone. The capstone is to help you expand your horizons and to grow. So my dog is now trying to steal the mail off of the table by the front door. So to answer your question, I'm sorry, Quintel. Yeah, it is possible, but we can chat about it and see, where you're working. We don't need to get into it now. That's personal for you, but we can maybe try and figure out something that could be done that would allow you to work on maybe a specific project within the confines of where you're working, that allows you to work within the limited time frame and obligations that you currently have. I don't know if that helps, but I guess it's a long answer to your question, and the answer is generally yes.
Yeah, that answered my question. Perfect. I'll set up some time with you so we can kind of talk through it a little bit.
That's fine. Okay. So let's see. We encourage you to come by in person when you can, if you can. In the fall, the summer is going to be light, of course. Hopefully, we'll be much closer back to the new normal on campus in the fall. We have the newsroom in the sea level. The Multimedia Center is a much more open and welcoming place now for folks to find out what's going on. We're planning on a lot of special events over the course. We had one yesterday where Professor Scheinheit had a well-known published author talking about research and basically how journalists were being tracked by their bosses in terms of how many views they got on Instagram, which was a fascinating conversation. I generally bring alumni back after 3 or 4 years in the business to talk about their progression as to how they got to where they are. We have special events during Black History Month. We had a panel discussion that included someone from the New York Times, from New York One, and someone from CBS News who is an alum, who is working at CBS Philadelphia, CBS 3 Philly, who joined the panel by Zoom. And the panel actually took place in the multimedia studio. So we have a lot of special events during the course of the semester. So you should always look to those listservs to see when those events take place. If they're in are not, actually, Fabiola, go ahead. You have a question?
Yes, sorry. This is a little like out of topic. I mean, I'm just asking about specific courses that are not available for the fall 2022 semester. Um, Besides waiting for the spring 2023 semester, is the e-permit like the only other option that we have if we're trying to take the course as soon as possible? Or I mean, I don't know how to do that whole like e-permit thing. So I just have like questions about that if anybody knows any answers.
Professor Hanlon, can you take that one?
Sure. Hi, Fabiola. The courses are required typically, but yes, the e-permit can often be a great way to handle it, because if you will find something, but it has to be a good match, because it does have to be approved by academic standards and by our department. So, for example, if it were Cinema 2 here, History of Cinema, and you found another History of Cinema, somewhere you could do it. Yeah, I mean, if you just put e-permit into the search box on lehman.edu, you'll see the whole rundown of how it works. The only thing is, we're not usually able to do like mix and match. I mean, the core requirements exist for a reason. So it's not like you can take television studio production and replace it for writing for TV. We're looking forward to the time when we can offer stuff every semester, but we've been pushing the college to let us hire more faculty. We hired one, we're hiring another faculty member in a year, and I hope there'll be less of this. So the short, not so short answer is, yeah, e-permits are a good thing. Unless there's something specialized, work individually with your advisor and see if there's anything we can do occasionally. Like if it's writing for radio and television, and you're interning somewhere where they actually have you writing for radio and television, we might be able to justify that. But there's no one size fits all. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, thank you. The course specifically that I'm talking about is for FTS 218 for anime and animation. I looked at CUNY first, and it shows like an equivalent course at Hunter. I'm not sure. I guess I would have to speak to my advisor about that if it correlates specifically for it before I enroll in that class. But thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, if Philip Ruiz is the primary advisor in FTS Film, if that's your major, and he also teaches the course. So if there's anybody in the department who would know the most about it, it would be him. There was something at Hunter, somebody was sending me e-permits over and over again last year, that it was something in computer game design, and it happened to have the word anime in it, but it had nothing to do with television or film. So I'm sure the fact that you're thinking about it, you'd give it a thoughtful search. But I always tell everybody, help us by giving us something reasonable that will be a match. But yeah, definitely talk to him, because he'll give you a lot of good information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nicole, you have a question?
Yes, actually. So I just got this email to join. I'm sorry, which I believe is because I just said, I'm pretty sure it's like a lot off topic, because like I said, but I had just submitted a form to be accepted into this major, and here it has the advisor as Thomas. So I just wanted to like introduce myself to see if maybe I can get like confirmed on that or anything, because I am a transfer student of last semester and coming in. So I've been undeclared, but I know that I want to do like the communication study, the media communication studies, because of like the job that I'm doing right now. I think it would like very much advance in that.
Well, Nicole, good news. Every major declaration that comes in goes into an inbox that a few of us see. It seems like I think I'm the only one who actually goes through them, while everybody's doing whatever they're doing. But I saw yours, it already went through, so it should bubble up in the system in a day or two.
Like confirmed?
Well, yeah, I mean, because nobody's
Okay.
going to say, if we approve a major, nobody's going to say, no, she can't. So don't worry about that. So
Oh, okay, great.
it will be in the system soon. The one thing that's very important is somewhere, I don't know where it's coming from, that some of these forms tell everyone that I'm the major advisor for everything, and I'm not. Take a look. I mean, I can help, certainly, but I usually do FTS TV. Professor Carney does MCS, as do
Okay.
Professors Boston and Brucker Cohen. We have journalism. So take a look around at the faculty page and office hours page, and you'll see the categories. You know, I mean, we can always
Okay.
help you out, but that allows you the personal contact better each semester. Okay.
A lot. Okay,
You're
thank you
welcome.
so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. Thank you.
And generally, any full-time faculty should be able to advise you on any of the majors to some degree. We all have our specialties, but we all are more or less equipped to be able to do general advising. So
Okay,
you
thank
can
you
check
so
the
much.
office hours and reach out to any one of us. And if we can't answer your question, we'll either find the person to ask or get the answer for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And welcome to Lehman.
Yeah, I didn't have any of the classes, so I stacked them all up for like, I'm taking like 3 summer classes just to make sure I have like all of them done.
Okay,
So
great.
thank you.
Okay. Are there any more questions at this point? We're just about almost up to the hour now, which is what we wanted to keep it. If there are no more questions, again, you can generally send us emails, keeping in mind we all get about 300 or so emails a day. However, we do get back to you as soon as possible. Some very basic things. Use your Lehman email address. We respond much more quickly. Sometimes we do not respond at all because you get caught up in our spam. And I had one student who was saying, I've been emailing you for months. And when your email address is like, you know, hotmama123@Yahoo, it gets caught up in our spam filters. So we don't get them and we may not open them. Okay. So we would just ask that you use your Lehman email address. You be concise and you include your AMPL number when you do ask questions. It makes it much easier for us to have the answers for you when we do talk. And don't assume, well, I gave it to him 3 years ago, he should have it. Yeah, probably, but we're going to be annoyed when we would talk to you because we had to go back 3 years to find it. We're people too. So if that is it, anybody else have any last parting shots?
I have a question.
Of course you do, Iris. I'm waiting for you to come in with a question.
I know, right? All right. So I was online and let me see, hold on. I got my little handy dandy notebook. Oh, here we go. So I have to take, they're giving, I think our 420 in the summer. Let me see, hold on a second. I can just check.
The FTS 420, which is required for MCS and for the television side of FTS.
So I never seen that class pop up in my the courses that I need to take. It says I need to is that course equivalent to some other course or no?
No, if first of all, you look in your degree works will be very specific as to what course you need for your major and your concentration. So if you are a cinema major, ironically enough, you don't need the cinema aesthetics class. You can take it as an elective. Is that correct, Tom? It's the cinema track no, it's the TV track. It's not
The
required.
TV track. Yeah, I'm going back and I'm looking for it now. When in doubt, everybody go to lehman.edu and put FTS major, JRN major, MCS major in the search box. It's not a maybe. It's all there. But let me get it in
Iris,
front
you're
of
an
me.
FTS TV major.
Yeah, I'm my concentration's in TV.
All right, so it's not required for you.
Okay. All right.
Is that right, Tom? It's required only for the cinema side.
That's my recollection. I'm looking for it right now by going to lehman.edu and putting FTS major in the search box.
But
Uh,
use your degree works. Degree
Yeah,
works used to
definitely.
be very questionable.
Yeah,
Oh,
However,
yeah.
in recent years, they've gotten very, very accurate.
Yeah, and 420 is not on the list of the television concentration, but it is for film. But of course, if you're looking for that one elective in the department and you in that major and you don't have it already from either another FTS class or an MCS or a JRN, you could use 420. So your call on that.
Okay. Just for Diamond, no, it is not. Faculty email addresses are at Lehman, the word spelled out, not LC. Only students are LC. If you're reaching out to any faculty member, it's first name dot last name at lehman.cuny.edu, not at LC. LC is for students, but the word Lehman is for faculty. That's a common mistake. Why they set it up that way, I have no idea. I think it has something to do with Hotmail, which is the system that the student email is in now. But make sure that it's at lehman.cuny.edu. Okay. Very good. Okay. So try to get involved in things on campus and in the city. You're in the media capital of the world. Take advantage of things that are happening. There's a big event that's happening tomorrow in the city. It's the Diversity Plus Media Conference, which is now closed. It's too late to register, but there is a virtual session on Monday that you can take advantage of. So just go to centerforcommunication.org and you can see how to find out. Things like that are happening all the time in the city. So take advantage of being in New York City. So with that, I will say thank you to everyone. You know where to find me and Professor O'Hanlon and Ms. Diaz and the other faculty members. And just a clarification, there have been, FTS 213 doesn't exist anymore. But just look at the more recent posts for Cinema 1 and Cinema 2. That's for FTS. With that, I'm going to wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thanks for folks who are listening to this via the YouTube recording. And I look forward to actually seeing people living, breathing at some point in the near future, or at least maybe seeing them on a video screen instead of just a name. Let's keep doing this. Tom, any last parting shots?
No, I think that's about it. We're glad you're all here. Help chart your course to greatness. We are here to help you, and you're doing it. So we're here to help you be your best.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.